Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm just doing some readings right now, and I came across an ex post. Long story short, there was this influencer girl who apparently got obsessed with someone, and she went from being pristine, wearing all this makeup, having sleek hair, all the rest of it, to looking rather disheveled in a tattoo parlor, right? And there were all these comments below about this, what happened, and everybody's thinking, oh, she had a spell put on her. And I'm like, it can be possible, but like you'd have to be a pretty powerful magically to be able to accomplish that, which is rare. That's first off. Second thing is that there was one particular person in that thread, in that X thread, that really spoke to me. And they said, a lot of you haven't been victims of abuse, and it shows. Because when you meet the right person, all it takes is the right person or the wrong person, and you could easily be in that position. So what this person is basically saying is, don't be walking around out here thinking that you're better than this person, because that could easily be you. And again, it's common sense. It's very reasonable advice that this person is giving. And then people come in the comments saying, oh, there are people who are weak and people who are strong. And that's why I'm thinking, shut your ass up. Because, for this person saying, a lot of you haven't been abused and it shows, all it takes is the right person or the wrong person. Do you understand what I mean? And you could easily be an abuse victim, like this girl who's apparently had spells put on her. Now again, spells can be part of the abuse. They can be part of the abuse, but it's not the whole story. Okay? But fact of the matter is that not the original commenter, but one of the original replies was right. You don't have to be strong or weak to be an abuse victim. In fact, I've been the weak bitch and the strong bitch, all right, in my lifetime. I've been the weak one and I've been the strong one. When I was weak, the most I would get is some roasting, people talking shit about me, and that would be it. Okay? That would be it. When people think you're weak and pathetic, when people think that you don't have anything going for you, they'll give you a little bit of shit just to amuse themselves, like every now and again, just to give you a little bit of shit. But then they'll just walk away and leave you alone. If they really think you're pitiful as a person, they will leave you alone after a while. After a while, like beating somebody when they're already down, there's only so much you can get out of that. When you hear about abuse victims, 9 times out of 10, them motherfuckers ain't weak. They're strong. This is a society that takes strong people with immense self-respect, and try to break them down into pieces, into chunks, until there's nothing left of their soul or spirit. That is what this society does, because that's what it takes in order for this society to function. If we're going to have functioning depressives, you've got to beat the self-assurance out of them, psychologically, physically, even sexually. And that's what abusers do. Abusers, let's be real, will use weak people or fringe people as target practice. I'm not saying that weak people aren't abused, but there's a difference between weak and vulnerable. Vulnerable people can be abused, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're weak. Do you understand? Because abusers go after strong people. If you're the type of person who gives people the benefit of the doubt, no matter how horrible the world is, you're a strong person. If you are the kind of person who has ambition, who has stuff that they want to accomplish in their lives, you're a strong person. If you are the kind of person who can find joy in any situation, you are a strong person. The only reason why an abuser would ever go for people with low self-esteem is because, The only reason any abuser would go after somebody with low self-esteem, I guarantee you, it is target practice. Really think about the dating scene as an example, all right? A lot of these men, and some women, honestly, what they will do is they will sleep around with different people with extremely low self-esteem, low enough to want to be with them, right? Low enough to not provide too much of a challenge. But the ones that they marry are the ones that they want to break down into nothing. So that person will be reduced to being whatever they want that person to be. And if they can't break that person down during a marriage or a long-term relationship, that's when the abuse starts. That's when the abuse starts. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Let me tell you something right now. Like, I shouldn't even call myself weak, really. But the truth of the matter is that when you're a weak person, or when people think you're pathetic, there's only so much that they're going to do before empathy starts kicking in, before compassion starts kicking in, even before shame starts kicking in. But when you're dealing with a strong person, somebody who doesn't take no shit, somebody who has ambition, somebody who has drive, somebody who wants things for themselves, somebody who holds their head up no matter what, when you're dealing with somebody like that, that's when the abusers start to lose their fucking minds. Again, I have been the weak person. I've been the strong person. When I was the weak person, when I was both weak and vulnerable, I was abused for a little bit, then I was left alone. When I became a stronger human being, when I started holding my head up high, having respect for myself, when I started having ambition and having goals and doing my research before I talk to psychiatrists and getting evidence, and when I started doing all these things for myself, when I stood the fuck up, that is when I got the worst of the abuse. Because the people who were charged with breaking me down or trying to break me down, when they couldn't break me down, they lost their fucking minds. And they got worse. The only time when you can truly get over an abuser is either to get as far away from the abuser as possible, or you've got to crush the abuser in the same way that they're trying to crush you, psychologically. That's exactly what the situation is. We're dealing with a world that genuinely does not like strong people. Don't let nothing fool you. People will convince you that to be strong is to be violent. People will convince you that to be strong, you've got to have the fastest fists or the fastest mouth. No, the only two things you need in order to be strong are self-respect and integrity. That is all you need. And once you have those things, and those things cannot be removed from you, no matter how much people try to, that's when your abusers start to get vicious. That's when they start to get desperate. That's when they start to lose their fucking minds. The ones they want to hurt, yes, they are the vulnerable ones and or weak ones. They hurt the vulnerable ones. They kill the strong ones. Because when you're dealing with people who are inherently violent, physically, mentally, sexually, and they're dealing with somebody who cannot be broken, they will do whatever they can to break them, to defeat them, to reduce them to nothing. But then there are some people in this world who, it doesn't matter how abused they are or how much they suffer, they just can't be squashed like that. They just can't be, their fire never dies out. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how trampled on they are. Their fire never dies out. And because their fire never dies out, the abuser gets desperate, spends their whole life trying to defeat the strong person. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. So don't think for 1 second, if you are an abuse victim right now, or you are a trafficking victim right now, if you're a victim of anything like this, don't ever get it twisted that the reason why you're in this position is because you're weak. Fuck out of here. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. There's no sport in it. There's no sport in it. There's no sport in it if there's no triumph in it. There's no triumph in coming after a weak person and getting what you want, or having the potential to get what you want. There's no sport in coming after somebody with no integrity or no self-respect. There's no sport in that. And that's what a violent person wants more than anything. Sport. Because they're a fucking black hole of rage. They're a fucking black hole of rage, and the only sport they can really enjoy is a blood sport. They need a strong person to provide them with challenge. That's what they need. So that's what they really desire. That's what they really look for, a challenge. Somebody that in the end they can't really supplant. But it's that same desire and the continuance of that desire that can turn vicious, and it can turn obsessive, and it can turn people crazy. So this whole thing about, oh, you know, when you're abused, you're weak. I'm like, no, you were just broken down, mate. Ain't nothing weak about you. If there was anything weak about you, you wouldn't have been selected for manipulation, coercion, and abuse. Ain't nothing weak about you. Get that out your head right now. Again, I know from experience. I started off as a strong kid, became a weak teenager. Because I was broken down. I was broken down into a fine powder. And then I found out about gang stalking. And ironically, it was finding, you know, I went through my teens and my early 20s being reduced to fine powder. And then when I found out about gang stalking, that's when I started to rebuild myself, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. But I've been the weak person. When you're weak, they leave you a lot. They give you a little bit of shit. They leave you alone after. They leave you alone after that. So don't get it into your head. If you're an abuse victim, do not get it into your head that you are in this position because you are weak and worthless. If you were truly weak and you were truly worthless, they would not come after you. They would not come after you if that was really the case. There is no fucking way. Vultures only, not vultures, but you got to remember that people only colonize. You know, colonizers only come after countries with the richest resources. So if you're suffering abuse right now, or you've been suffering abuse, you have to have resources. There's something about you that that you have, something precious that they want. So they keep you down, break you down, make you feel like you're nothing, because there's a precious resource that you have that they want to keep taking from you. And that's why you're in that position. It ain't because you're fucking weak. It was never because you were fucking weak. You can be broken down into weakness, but you're not chosen for your weakness. Never that. Never that. Never that. Don't let a damn thing fool you. You know? You know, and a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, you know, I wouldn't let it happen to me. I wouldn't let it happen to me. And yet, how many people are in domestic abuse relationships? But they wouldn't let it happen to them, though. It's literally the biggest crime in this country alone, yet people wouldn't let it happen to them. We're full of shit. And ironically, it's weak people who say that shit. Oh, I would never let it happen to me. No, you are a conformist. who've got it into your head that you are the main character in your own story. Anyone can be abused. Lord have mercy. It doesn't take strength to have boundaries and to say, no, this is not what I want. In fact, among weak people, there are different categories of weak people. Shallow people. Shallow people don't end up abused because there are certain things that they don't want. You don't have to be strong to avoid being abused. Jesus. Oh, come on, man. No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. People act like they're so much better than just being human. And that's just not how the shit works. There are some people who walk away after they get hit, but 9 times out of 10 that doesn't happen. Because again, you have the strength to give people the benefit of the doubt even when you shouldn't. So yeah. I'm not saying that weak people aren't abused. I'm not saying that. But I've been weak and I've been strong. I know the fucking difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? I know the difference. Oh yeah. Can you see the triangle formation again? The weapons have been fired right here. For those in the know, for those who are TIs. This is the thing. I've always said that there are certain parts of your body that have these triangle points on them. I think that's the directed energy weaponry, because they don't just operate with like one single beam of light. There's a triangular formation where the weapons fire. There's a triangular formation. So whenever you see stuff like this, it's usually to pinpoint your location more than to use the weapons on you. The main target on any area of your body is usually within the triangle, depending on the position that the weapon is in. It's usually within the triangle. And that's where your wound normally is on your body. That's where the wound normally is from electronic weaponry. Because these marks right here, they're from weaponry. They're from weaponry. These scabs right here. I've been picking at them, don't get me wrong, but you know, there's a formation here. There shouldn't be a formation here. If it's really bugs or scabies, there wouldn't be a formation like that. It's a constant formation with us. That's because with the laser technology, these things, it's like your location is pinpointed, right? And then these things here mark the location, and then you get this situation. I'll give you an example, right? When I was, you know, I keep using this example from 2021. Forgive me, like it's long, but I keep using this example, right? Before I started getting the back pain in my lower back, in my lumbar, right? There were specific positions in my body being fired at. It was third eye, chest. It was like quick. It was like on certain parts of my body. And I actually wrote a letter to my landlord about that. There were certain positions fired on my body quickly. It wasn't just to torture me. It was also to pinpoint my location, so that they could get exact bearings on where I was and fire the weapons on, you know, target a piece of my body specifically. But in order to do that, they needed to get an exact location of where my body would be and where the bed would be. So that's what I think these are for. Yeah, that's what I think they're for. They're there to pinpoint the location because they've done that before. Before they attack you, before you're attacked on a specific part of your body, you need to be located first. Now, they already did locate me, but it's like they needed to pinpoint specific parts of my body so that the technology could remember, if that makes sense. So the technology can remember where you are, and when they need to actually pinpoint a certain part of your body, they can actually pinpoint a part of your body with no real issues. That's what they do. So if you see any marks on your face, like, or marks on your body with this triangle formation, it's weapons. It's not you. It's not you. It's not scabies. It's none of that shit. It's basically directed energy weapons being fired on your face, and the main wound that they want to inflict on you is going to be somewhere within the triangle, like I said before. So yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about coming online, where the wounds came from. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about DragonFire. That, like, apparently DragonFire is being publicized in mainstream media, the DragonFire laser weapon. Isn't it strange that in the year of the dragon, we've got the DragonFire laser coming out? Is it me, or are they going to try to attach Is it me, or do you think they're going to try to attach Havana syndrome to the Chinese next? Is it me, or do we think that they're going to try to, like, subliminally let us know that the Chinese are the ones who have been firing weapons on British citizens? Even if they are, right? The UK know about it. The UK know about it, and they've been handing over information about millions of citizens in this country to the Americans. You think the Americans haven't handed it over? So, yeah, there is definite propaganda at work here. There's definite propaganda at work here with the DragonFire laser coming out at the, in the year of the dragon. Like, they're not slick. They're not slick. The year of the dragon is Chinese astrology. The DragonFire has been out since apparently like 2017. So why are they publicizing it now? Why are they publicizing it now and it just happened to be the year of the dragon? Bro, come on now. Come on now. It's very obvious where they're going. They're gonna, there's been more coming out about China, because TikTok social media is Chinese, and they're talking about the US is contemplating banning TikTok now. There's a whole struggle going on against the Chinese now, and I feel like there have been seeds sown in the TI community that foreign powers are responsible for everything. But truth be told, right, even without resources, the UK has one of the most advanced defense systems in the world. And the US has the most advanced defense system in the world. China has the discipline. China has the workforce. China has the soft colonialism going on in Africa and other places where there are vast resources. They're the ones who are running technology, that, they own the world through soft colonialism. It's true, but, the US are still the ones with the weapons. They're still the ones with the weapons. And if you're the ones with the weapons, you could easily go over to somebody else's yard and say, hey, give me all your shit. That's the whole point of weaponry. Because when it comes down to it and you need to intimidate somebody into backing down, and, China's a big country. It's a very big country, don't get me wrong, but you're talking about the most advanced weaponry. You seriously think those people give a fuck if they're running out of money? You seriously think the US, the UK, the Five Eyes, they didn't see this coming? You seriously think they didn't see any of that coming, that China will be a burgeoning superpower, that Russia will be a burgeoning superpower? You seriously think they didn't see any of that coming? They planned for this. They planned to be the losers in the scenario so that they could retain their power. Russia did the same thing. When Napoleon came over to Russia, this is what the Russians did. They starved out their people. They starved out their people, bombed the fuck out of their own land, so that when Napoleon came over there, they're like, you know what? Yeah, let me dip. Let me dip. This ain't worth it. This is not worth it at all. That's what the Five Eyes are doing. That's what the Five Eyes are doing. They're fucking buying themselves time by killing off their own citizens. That's why I do not buy this propaganda about the Chinese and the Havana syndrome, attaching it to the Cubans or trying to pin it on Iraq or Iran or any country that isn't white. I'm not buying it. Granted, I would rather live here than in any of those countries for obvious reasons. Okay, I would rather live here than there. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. All right, but we got to get real about the situation. We still live in a white supremacy, and you know, we're over here laughably thinking that because China's got more resources, no, they have an identity that falls in line with white supremacy. They have an identity that falls in line with that. As long as they've got you here and here, you have already lost. As long as, you know, white supremacy has you here and here, as long as patriarchy has you here and here, you've lost already. There's no, it doesn't matter how many resources you get. You're still putting money in their pocket. You're still putting resources in their pocket. You're still putting political power in their pocket, as long as here and here is not corrected. And it hasn't been. It hasn't been for centuries. For millennia even. So no, I don't buy that. You know, I know that the Chinese are going to be blamed for, like, you know, the Havana syndrome thing and the gang stalking thing. When Havana syndrome finally is revealed and the truth finally is revealed about Havana syndrome and gang stalking, it will be blamed on the Chinese or the Cubans or the Iranians or any country that is either communist or non-white. It will be blamed on them. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm surprised that Hamas haven't been blamed for fucking, like, firing directed energy weapons. I'm surprised they haven't been blamed for it. I'm very, very shocked that they haven't been blamed yet. Do you understand? So yeah, that's what's going on. When gang stalking is revealed, you know, it's, you know, I thought it would be decades later before gang stalking would be revealed, but I think I'm wrong. And I think I was wrong about that because of how advanced technology is. Technology is one of those things where once the information is out there, you can't take it back. It doesn't matter how much you try to ban or censor it. You can't take it back. And technology, the quicker technology moves is the quicker we speed through certain eras of civilization. So I feel like gang stalking will be revealed a lot earlier than I thought. I think this year is where it starts. Like somebody said that 2024 would be the year that gang stalking is exposed. I'm thinking, don't talk shit. But no, there's something in that. You mean to tell me DragonFire is revealed on the year of the dragon, and now there's all this stuff in Western media about the Chinese? That is not coincidence at all. And I know it sounds like a small thing to harp on about, but there's no such thing as coincidence in media. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. No such thing. And DragonFire is a laser weapon, like the laser weapons that are fired on our faces. It's a directed energy weapon that uses this formation for their weaponry. And depending on how concentrated they want the beams to be, that triangle can be contracted or expanded according to how big they want the beam of light to be and how big or small the target is. Again, don't let nothing fool you. There is so much that I know about what's going on with different countries and how they're operating. There's so much that I know that I could tell you. I'm not going to tell you now, though. Give it time. Give it time. The truth of the matter is that we've been talking about Russia versus Ukraine and Israel versus Palestine. We're being distracted by these awful tragedies and these awful genocides. We're being distracted by them. It's a distraction. And it hurts me to say that because we're witnessing literal genocide happening in real time. It hurts me to say that these things are just distracting us from what's really going on. I'm starting to think, could DragonFire have already been used and experimented on with gang stalking victims, with TIs? Could DragonFire have already been used to kill civilians already in this country? I'm inclined to think, yeah. I don't think DragonFire is the only one. There's also Ravenclaw. I think it's called Ravenclaw. There's a weapon by Raytheon, I believe. But yeah, there are different types of directed energy weapons out there. And again, DragonFire's been around since 2017. So it makes me question as to whether or not DragonFire has actually been used to hurt civilians and kill civilians. Really makes you wonder, doesn't it? And whilst all of this has been going on, like I said, you've got neighbours, we've got communities, whole communities of people that have been going right along with this fucking genocide, that know everything that's going on, but let them turn around and tell their friends, tell their family, tell everybody, whoever believed in their ass, that they've been complicit in global genocide and contributing to wars and contributing to colonialism of every kind. Yeah. Of course as a TI, the gang stalker's got to take their problems out on you. What the fuck else are they going to do? What else are they going to do? Because of them, this world is going to hell in a handcart. People are burying their elderly in drastic numbers. People are burying their loved ones in drastic numbers. In fact, they're not even being buried. They're not even being given autopsies. I wonder why that is. And gang stalking contributed to all of that. Cost of living crisis. All of this money that is being taken from taxpayers' pockets, taken from workers' pockets, they're being put into war toys. Do you understand? Remember what Russia did when Napoleon came over there? That's what the Britons are doing to us. That's what the British government is doing to us in the UK. That's what the US government is doing to people in the US. That's what the Australian government is doing to people in Australia. That's what Canadian government is doing to Canadians. That is what the Kiwi government are doing to Kiwi people in New Zealand. And gang stalking contributed to all of that because it facilitates what? Weapons experimentation. It also facilitates the annexing of the resources of the victim so that it goes back into the pockets of dictators and plutocrats. Certainly not going back to the people. It ain't going back to you assholes. It's going back to the same people who hired the gang stalkers. It's going back to them. It's their shit. And as for the paranoid schizophrenia diagnosis, I can't even go there, not right now. In fact, I think I've already spoken about it. All of it was just a long con game, and people were more than willing to fall for it because of their own egos. Because what? They weren't strong. They weren't strong. Perps are not strong. If they were, none of this shit would be allowed to happen. I had something in my head, but it's gone. I hate it when this happens. The joys of getting older, everyone. Getting older is a torture victim anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Everything's fucked, really. I'm trying to think of what is... Yeah. Perps are not strong. Everybody knows that. What was I talking about? What did I talk about? I'm sure I'll remember in a minute. Just doing some readings here. Yeah, everything is because of gang stalking. All of it. Absolutely all of it. You know. But yeah, I've always said that when it comes to perps, I've always held this theory in my mind, because perps are actually still tortured. They're just given extra toys to play with, right? They're tortured just like TIs are. They're just given extra toys to play with. I've always had this theory that perps are just successful TIs. The reason why gang stalking is not successful, or the weapons experimentation and the social experimentation is not successful, is because of us. There are those of us who die honoring the truth, even at our weakest. There are those of us who die honoring the truth, and with each of us that are sacrificed, our cause gets stronger. So gang stalking is not successful because of us, because we refuse to be silenced. But gang stalking is also not failing because of the perps. You have to remember that, like I said before, I have this theory that perps are just more successful TIs. They're just TIs that, you know, the brain damage worked on. Yeah. They were selected for a reason. There's no way they weren't experimented on before they were recruited. And they're still being experimented on. They're part of the experiment. If you're a perp or a TI, you're part of the fucking experiment. It's basically a Stanford prison experiment. Except it's expanded and apparently real. Because apparently Stanford experiment was a myth. It ain't a myth here. Perps and TIs are experimentees same way. It's just that with perps, they got it into their head that they're superior, or that they have the power that they deserve, or something like that. Like they're under this delusion that they're powerful and they're not powerful. You know, gang stalking is not failing because of the perps. Gang stalking is not succeeding because of us. Because it doesn't matter how much pain we're subjected to, we still don't break. We still don't break. It doesn't matter how many people don't take us seriously. It doesn't matter how much the paranoid schizophrenia label gets thrown around. It doesn't matter how much that happens. We're not backing down. So gang stalking is not working because of us. We are the reason it's not succeeding. But the perps are the reason why gang stalking is not failing. Because the same brain damage they're trying to inflict on us to make us into deviant, immoral, amoral, weak people, the same damage that is being inflicted on us in a bid to try to make us like that, has been successfully, this is in my belief, has been successfully administered onto the perps. That is my belief. My belief is that the gang stalkers were brain damaged right along with us. Right? They were brain damaged right along with us. Only in their case, it fucking worked. Riddled with BPD, and even though BPD people are not evil by nature, they are definitely capable of being manipulative and angry. And I know because I've got the shit. Okay? BPD people are capable of being manipulative, violent, obsessive. BPD people can dissociate so that when they cause harm to people, they're not in the room. So you got brain damage that can easily cause BPD. It can easily cause ADHD, which doesn't really work the same way. But the thing that BPD and ADHD have in common is emotional dysregulation. Brain damage can easily be administered via directed energy weapons and acoustic weaponry to damage the brain and to cause those symptoms. Depression and anxiety, kids play, child's work. Anybody can do that. You don't even need weapons to do that. But BPD and ADHD, yeah. The brain, okay, so hang on. Mimi, yes sis, they go on. They killed my dad. V2K and misdiagnosis. Their brain damage is higher than their targets. And they know this, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. BPD and ADHD can be caused by brain damage. Paranoid schizophrenia can be caused by brain damage. Even though paranoid schizophrenics, I'm guessing, would be like largely useless to gang stalking because, you know, yeah, wouldn't be much use. Paranoid schizophrenia can be caused by brain damage. What else can be caused by brain damage? Psychosis, we've already been there. Sociopathy can be caused by brain damage. Definitely. You don't have to be born with BPD. You don't have to be born with narcissistic personality disorder. That's another thing that can be created. You don't have to be born with this disorder. You don't have to be born with MPD. You don't have to be born with BPD. You don't have to be born with ADHD. You don't have to be born with any of these things. The only thing that might be stumping me a little bit is this idea that you could be born a psychopath. Because I'm in two minds about that. Because part of me is thinking that if brain damage can be used to cause literally any other mental illness, then it stands to reason that it can cause psychopathy, right? But psychopaths, I don't know. I feel like behavioral control or mind control, if you were able to create psychopaths, like genuine psychopaths, that would be a gold mine, wouldn't it? Because psychopaths run the world. Of all the dark triads, the psychopaths are the most powerful people. And given that we've talked about psychopaths being born, and given that we've talked about lineage when it comes to powerful people, right? And given how this narcissism actually works, you know, given how powerful psychopathy actually is, that would be a gold mine for people who wanted to create mind control, wouldn't it? Creating psychopaths would be a gold mine. Because once you can create psychopaths and the psychopaths control the world around them, you are basically controlling the world through controlling the psychopaths. I think that's what this is all about. I think, you know, destroying small organizations at their root. I feel like That type of thing is fairly easy to do. But creating psychopaths, not only creating psychopaths, but creating psychopaths that you can control, that'd be a gold mine. That would be a gold mine, I think. Yeah. I think that's one of their main goals. I think that's one of their real goals, is creating psychopaths to run the world with. I think they want to have everybody be controlled, but I don't think they want to have everybody be psychopaths. That's not what I think they want, because psychopaths have too much. It's like their rage. Psychopaths are basically a black hole of rage. But when that rage collapses in on itself, it can turn into high productivity, but it can also turn into a deep understanding about what you want and how to get it. Which means you're not going to be influenced by other people's opinions on what morality is. And if you can't be easily manipulated by that, then, you know, yeah. Yeah. I'm guessing psychopaths, they want to create psychopaths as well. Because once you control the psychopaths, you control the world. That's a heavy thing to contemplate. Yeah, that's what I think they want. I think they want to create psychopaths. But what damaged part of the brain creates psychopathy? Okay. I'm typing it in now. Did you know that there's such a thing as childhood sociopathy? I think I've brought this up before. But yeah, a child can be a sociopath and then grow up to be like, wait a goddamn minute, hold on. The prefrontal cortex is likely to play an important role in psychopathy. In particular, the ventromedial and anterior cingulate sectors of PFC are theorized to mediate a number of social and affective decision-making functions that appear to be disrupted in psychopathy. So yeah, this psychopathy can be created in people with weapons. You ain't got to be born with it. You ain't got to be born with it. Callous and impulsive antisocial behavior have devastating effects on society, particularly through crime. But gang stalking is a crime. But I'm thinking psychopathies are at the top of the pecking order because, again, when you're a black hole of rage, you know, you're not ruled by empathy, but then you're not ruled by other people's opinions either. You can control all that. Yeah. Boy, it can be created. I think it can be. If there's a disruption in that part of the brain, because remember, it's all about, you know, social control is all about controlling the brain and the nervous system, right? So, yeah, I think it can be created. The only thing that I'm trying to ascertain is how many psychopaths are being created. Because with narcissism, at the moment, as it stands, 1 in 6 people are narcissistic or have the disorder. And I'm pretty sure there was more than that back in the day. So, yeah. So there's 1 in 6 people that are narcissists right now. So, like, if you are in a room with 6 people, 1 of them could easily be a narcissist, or even 2 of them. And then you've got sociopaths, which are less common. And then psychopaths, yeah, I think they're the rarest out of the dark triad. But even then, if they can be created through disruption to the prefrontal cortex, like, boy, I don't know, man. I don't know. But yeah, the psychopaths are a black hole of void, of fucking, you know, just an imploding void of rage, just sucking everything in around it. And the reason I say implode is because sometimes your anger becomes so powerful that you have nowhere else to channel it but to be physically busy. And but to be ambitious and to strive for what you want. So it's like, yeah. Yeah, it's a heavy ass. This is heavy ass shit that I'm talking about tonight, but these have just been on my mind, you know. I gotta go now, unless there's something else that I'm missing. You know, my memory is not good, but my intuition. Yeah. So I've been fired right here on my gun line here. I've been getting weapons on there. And this has been a bit loose. So that might fall out. I don't know. But yeah, I've been getting, you know, they've stopped attacking my jawline here and they've started moving on to here. That's another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Is this idea that, you know, targeted individuals and meth heads and things like that. You see, with meth, you get lesions on the skin and you start losing teeth. So once you get lesions on the skin and you start losing teeth through directed energy weaponry and non-ionized radiation, once that starts to happen, you know, it can be easy for somebody to turn around and say that somebody is a meth addict. I'm not being funny, but I would have to be, you know, for somebody to accuse me of being a meth addict as a TI, I'd have to be one of the fattest meth addicts ever. Like, what the fuck am I lining that shit with? Utterly butterly. But yes, like that whole thing about gang stalkers being, you know, people who claim to be gang stalkers being meth addicts, because of the lesions on the skin from the weapons and because of the teeth loss. This is a very important part of it, the teeth loss as well. It all plays a part in, you know, representing TIs as being unstable or being untrustworthy. Because if you've got marks all over your skin and your teeth are falling out, again, meth addiction brings about those same phenomena, right? So if you've got that going on, it's very easy to turn around and say, well, that person's got meth and that's why they're claiming to be gang stalked. Meth ain't got nothing to do with the shit. But the unfortunate thing is that whilst these weapons can create mental illnesses, the same brain damage that drugs can cause, like EMF weapons and directed energy weapons can actually cause that. And then you've got Feed 2K, which can mimic auditory hallucinations. And then you've got like acoustic weaponry, you know, that also damages the body. All of these things are unseen to the naked eye. Damn near. So it's easy when you have all these things happening to you, but it's, you know, it's when you have all these things happening to you on an energetic level, it's easy for people to then deny what's happening to you is actually happening to you. And to say that you're a meth addict or something, or, you know, you got marks on your face, you got to be a meth addict, or you got to have scabies. Like, no, that's bullshit. It's the directed energy weapons. I bought that myself. Like, I looked online and I saw people with bite marks on their face and stuff like that. But then I had to look at my own marks. Bugs don't fucking bite in a formation. Their bites are random. It's not like a fucking triangle each and every time. Do you understand what I mean? So it's like, you know, this directed energy weapons, ironically, they cause the appearance of looking dirty, looking, you know, drug-addled or what have you, for the sole purpose of making targeted individuals look untrustworthy, and therefore nobody would pay attention to what's actually happening to us. And also because it's our personal beauty, right? Our teeth, our skin, it's our personal beauty. So, you know, making us feel ugly as well. That's another thing that goes into it, especially when you're a woman. When you're a woman, your beauty is valued. So if they take away your beauty by sucking the life out of you, that's another way that your credibility as a targeted individual who wants justice can be threatened. Because TIs don't even listen to each other. We always listen to the most beautiful or the most put together person in our communities. We don't listen to each other otherwise. And it's human nature. You don't want to see that shit. But it's just, what I'm saying is that natural human instincts are weaponized against people in order to cover up serious human rights abuses. Do you know what I mean? And the fact that mental illness can be synthesized. They've been synthesizing mental illnesses for the longest now. They've been firing weapons on my head, trying to send me crazy enough to be hospitalized again. That's what they constantly do to people. And again, it's to act. I'm not going to say anything more. But I'm just saying, baby. They want to cause mental health illnesses to affect your credibility. Yeah. It's all to affect your credibility. I'll talk about it more when I have the time, but should I go? I think I should go now. I really got to get these dailies done. I'm sure I'll remember what else I need to talk about. And if I do remember something else, I'll just talk about it tomorrow. I really got to do my daily readings now. So you guys take care. Peace and blessings. I love you guys so much. If you've made it to this far in the video as a TI, please let me know how you're doing. And yes, once again, I will see you guys another time. We'll talk soon. I love you. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.